What if Naruto was in Dragon Age Part 1? We start the story looking at a red-headed woman and a blonde man crying with joy while holding their newborn son, who was named Naruto. He was wrapped in a blanket embroidered with his own name. Kushina sighs with relief as Naruto starts crying, showing that he has a fine set of lungs on him. Minato, on the other hand, was thinking about the future. His first smile, his first word, his first steps, and what kind of person his son will become. While all these things were running through his head, the nurse who delivered Naruto falls to the ground, dead, blood running all over the floor. The masked man, acting quickly, grabbed their newborn son, holding a kunai to his throat, giving Minato an ultimatum. The child for the Jinchuriki. Minato was having none of this, and rushed the masked man to save his son. But when he has Naruto in his arms, he sees the paper bombs burning, ready to explode. Using Flying Raijin, he teleports himself and Naruto away, while pulling the blanket off, throwing it away from his child. Filled with rage, Minato puts Naruto down on his bed and puts on his Hokage cloak, ready to save his village, save his wife, and kill that man for daring to threaten his family. A huge explosion goes off inside the village, showing that the Nine Tails has been released and causing havoc inside the village. All the events after this go the exact same as in canon, until the Nine Tails stabs through Minato and Kushina. While holding the Nine Tails in place, protecting their son with whatever life they have left, Minato uses the Reaper Death Seal. His plan is to split the Nine Tails in two, sealing half inside of Naruto, and taking the other half with himself inside the Shinigami's stomach, to be locked in battle for the rest of time. However, in this timeline, the masked man didn't leave after being beaten by Minato. Instead, he was standing at the edge of the forest, biding his time to take control of the Nine Tails yet again. As the Reaper Death Seal was being used to insert half of the QB inside Naruto, the masked man tries to use Kamui on the baby boy to take him to the Kamui dimension, ready for the Nine Tails to be extracted in peace. But this all goes incredibly wrong. With the interference of the Shinigami and the rapid change going on inside Naruto's body, the Kamui takes him away, but not to the Kamui dimension. Instead, due to the abilities of the Shinigami being able to traverse worlds and dimensions, a hole gets torn in the world, sending Naruto to a completely different place. A world of magic and dragons. He arrives in Thedas. More specifically, he is inside the Brachelian forest, just outside of the Dalish camp. After 10 minutes of Naruto's terrible screaming, a couple of Dalish elves who are on patrol hear the cries and walk over to investigate. And what they see confuses but also infuriates them. A crying baby, abandoned in their forest, in their home, about to be covered in webs by a giant spider, which was drawn to the screams like they were. After the elves destroy the giant arachnid, saving the poor baby's life, they debate whether to try and take him to a nearby settlement. Well, of humans anyway. But it's ultimately decided to take this boy back to their camp and find out what the Keeper decides to do. They take the boy back to camp and take him directly to Marathari, who was obviously surprised that someone would leave a newborn baby in such a dangerous place. After inspecting the baby, who was just sleeping peacefully for now, she noticed the embroidery on his blanket, showing that his name was Naruto. It was a bit of a strange name, but you'd definitely remember it. After seeing that Naruto seems physically okay, with no wounds or any rashes or anything, she starts thinking about what to do. maybe the sentry was right to take him to a nearby human settlement for them to find and raise. But before she can make her final decision, Naruto wakes up, after opening his eyes, he smiles up at Marathara and starts giggling like he was looking at his mother. This puts the Keeper in a bit of a tough situation. She is the leader of a Dalish clan, so not exactly on the best terms with humans. But she could feel a small yet strong connection to this child, who was clearly a human. While debating this difficult choice, she starts feeling something else. She could feel a source of potent power coming from inside of Naruto. This energy was changing, as if it was adjusting to something. After a few minutes, she could sense that it was turning into magic and getting slightly stronger with every minute that passes. Eventually, the transformation, so to speak, is complete, and his chakra had fully converted to magic. Marathari could also tell that this child has some incredible potential within him, and decides to keep him in the camp, but more importantly, she will raise him as her own son. A couple of the elves do have a problem with this, as he was a Shemlin, as they call it, and doesn't belong here. Marathari does agree with humans not being welcome, but poses that the main problem is how humans are raised. Prejudice is learned, not inherent, just like the way we learn not to trust humans. But this child, Naruto, my son, will be different. With her decision being final, she begins to raise the boy with all the love and affection a mother would give. Over the years, Naruto grows up as a fairly happy child, a far cry from the original story. He was never starved for affection in this story, and always had other children to play with. Some of the other kids would sometimes ask why his ears were so round, but Naruto doesn't know. Maybe he's just a bit of a freak. Every time this question gets asked, Marathari gets concerned as she doesn't know if Naruto would be able to take the truth of being abandoned by his parents. Naruto is now 10 years of age and has started training under his mother on how to use his magic. He seems to learn slowly at first, but the more he puts his mind to it, the more he grows. He may have to work a lot harder than other people, but through this he grows a lot faster than other people. This kid is a true prodigy, but also some kind of living paradox. At the age of 13, he gets his very first staff and shows a keen aptitude for summoning the forces of nature, more specifically the wind. One day while out foraging for herbs, as one of the warriors had come back poisoned by a spider, so they needed the herbs to create an antidote, Naruto finds himself set upon by bandits who wanted to know where the camp was. They could tell he came from the Dalish by his clothes. When Naruto told them to go away, he's not telling them anything. They started to attack him. Now after the years of training, Naruto could hold his own for a while, even being able to kill a couple of them. But one lucky shot from an archer hits Naruto's staff, sending it flying into the forest away from the battle. Naruto rushed to look for it, as it was his weapon, but before he could go, a couple of the bandits started beating on him relentlessly, demanding to know where the camp is. Naruto started getting angry, angrier than he ever has before, and then awakened something that until now had been lost. The power of the fox flows through his entire body, revitalizing him and making his magic explode, no longer needing his staff to channel his magic. Naruto blasts the bandits away before using a pillar of fire to completely incinerate them. After this, Naruto falls out of his new fox state, as it is new and overwhelming, and falls to one knee, being exhausted. Maybe it was finally time to find out the truth about himself. Naruto makes his way back to the camp and asks his mother if he could talk to her privately. Maruthari becomes worried as she knows what he's going to ask. They walk into their tent and Naruto goes quiet. Then, getting up the nerve, he asks his mother who he is, where did he come from. He explains what happens in the woods and asks again, where do I come from? Maruthari looks solemn, but decides that it's now or never. Her son is old enough. She tells him everything about finding him in the forest, and then taking him in as her child. Naruto doesn't look surprised at all about this. After all, he is different from everyone else. He looks a lot more human than elf. Maruthari tries to fight back tears, thinking that Naruto was going to leave after knowing the truth. But Naruto simply hugs his mum, telling her that it doesn't matter, but he did need to know after everything that's happened. Naruto spends the next few years finding out everything he can about where he came from and what power he holds. But everywhere he looks, he comes to dead ends. Almost like this power is new to the world. Being raised by the Dalish, and more specifically the Keeper, his intelligence is far superior to the original. So he does start thinking that maybe this power isn't from this world. Hell, maybe he isn't from this world. After a few more years pass of Naruto trying to find out what he is, a tall man with black hair and a beard comes into the tent, introducing himself as Duncan, a Grey Warden. Knowing what the Wardens are, Naruto bows out of respect and introduces himself, but Duncan already knows. Maruthari had already told him about her son, and maybe the Grey Wardens know something about it. Duncan asks Naruto if he would like to come with him. Maybe they can find something in the Warden texts, and Naruto could really help against the coming blight. After a while to think, and talking to his friends and mother, Naruto makes the not hasty decision to go with Duncan. I mean, after all, he's leaving his family. So after a touching goodbye with his clan, Maruthari throws a feast for Naruto, giving him some form of leaving party. The next morning, Naruto meets up with Duncan and asks where they're going, to which Duncan tells them they will be going to Ostagar to join the growing forces. But they have one more stop to make, one more person they need to recruit before the battles ahead. I'm going to leave this here for now, and to be honest, I'd love to know what you all think about this series. Well, new series anyway, it's the first part. I'm also going to put up a poll about what race the main warden should be. I'm going to make Naruto a main character, but not the main warden. So, if that makes sense. But anyway, if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the bell if you really want. And I'll see you all later. Bye.